Hi guys, a listener to the Newsagents podcast raised a very valid point, something that I've been ranting and raving about and you guys have been complaining about too over the last number of years. The disproportionate attention Farage and Reform get in respect to their size in Parliament, and how the Liberal Democrats, whether you agree with them or not, are completely ignored. Have a listen.
Why are the Lib Dems largely ignored by the media?
Sorry about the audio, it started out like that.
When they are the largest Commons third force in a century? Or is moderation too unsexy for the increasingly clickbaity media of today? Thanks. And it's interesting you should ask that, Matthew. I know for a fact from conversations I've had with very senior Lib Dems that they are very pissed off about this. That they believe that, particularly with the BBC, but others as well, that they feel that there is such agitation, there is such a desire from the BBC and others to prove that they are not ignoring Reform and Nigel Farage, that they are ignoring their obligations to other parties. And don't get me wrong, it is a tough thing to calibrate because you have two slightly competing imperatives. On the one hand, you've got the fact that Reform are, in Commons terms, tiny. You know, I mean, they sort of hover around because various different MPs get suspended at different times, but at any given moment they're between sort of 4 and 6. And then you've got that Lib Dems, who, as Matthew rightly says, they're the biggest third-party force in the Commons since the 1920s, not able to, apparently ignored. I mean, I was very struck the other day that when Farage was doing one of his press conferences, and he was saying very little, he was just talking about his latest plans on this, that or the other, but it was pretty sort of minor stuff.
And it was
being carried live by Sky and the BBC. And, you know, there's no way in a million years that if Ed Davey were getting up and just having a press conference and it wasn't something reasonably substantial, it wouldn't be covered live. I have some sympathy for broadcasters trying to kind of calibrate this, but I think the calibration is too far in one direction at the moment.
And he's completely correct. But I don't have a lot of sympathy for the broadcasters because in a sense they have created this beast. They have created Nigel Farage. They have platformed him in the past, unchallenged. So they gave him a massive platform and allowed him to spew his bile, his misinformation unchallenged. And now they're complaining, well, we need to cover Nigel Farage because he's popular. Well, he's popular because you created him. You helped create him, I should say. So you can't wash your hands of the situation and say, well, there's nothing we can do. We can't cover the Lib Dems because nobody really cares about them. No, you, as the media, you have to give proportionate representation in the media to the different political parties. If you're talking about politics, you should give Nigel Farage his 5 minutes. You should give the Lib Dems 20 minutes. You should give the Labour government, half an hour, whatever. But that's the way it should be. In the same way as in Parliament, Reform UK are not part of many committees because they don't have the numbers. The Lib Dems are. But unfortunately, the media, as was pointed out by the listener, is it a case of these media outlets are just chasing clicks and likes? Yes, that's part of the problem. But they're trying to justify it by saying, well, because Nigel Farage is popular, Reform are popular. Yeah, they're popular because you help make them popular. And you're going to hear, and I raise this point often, if Nigel Farage walks into number 10 and it's looking more and more likely, the first question they'll ask is, how did this happen? And they will, of course, not take any responsibility for this. They're supposed to hold people like this to account. I think we're starting to see a little bit of grilling of Reform UK members, people who are in senior positions, some of their MPs. Nigel Farage less so, but the more grilling they get, the more it's apparent that they're empty suits, that they're not able to represent anything apart from themselves, in the sense that they're not going to represent their constituents, they're not going to care about improving the situation for them. They're just sycophants of Farage. They're there because they're loyal, and they don't actually bring anything to the table. So the more of that can be exposed, but that requires journalists doing their job. And you're not going to see very much of it on LBC. You're not going to see very much of it on GB News or Talk TV. So it falls to the other outlets like Sky News, the BBC, Channel 4, to step up to the plate and understand, okay, we need to hold these people to account. We need to get on people from Reform, not Nigel Farage, but others, and grill them, expose their lies. Because if you don't, then these people will be in power and you'll be asking, how did this happen? Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.